You're at a restaurant, reading the menu, and you see it: steak. Instantly, your brain pictures something specific: a thick, sizzling piece of beef, perfectly cooked, maybe with char marks from a hot grill. The word feels timeless, like it's always meant exactly what it means now. But here's the strange part. The word steak originally had nothing to do with beef. In fact, it didn't even start as a food word at all. So why do we call it steak, and when did this word become inseparable from that perfect cut of meat? The answer takes us back over 1,000 years, across multiple languages, and through a surprising shift in meaning that most people have never heard about. By the end of this video, you'll never hear the word steak the same way again. Let's start at the very beginning. The word steak comes from an old Scandinavian word, stike, which meant something roasted or cooked over heat. Notice what's missing. There's no mention of beef, no mention of a specific cut, not even a guarantee that it was meat. Stike simply described the method. If you cooked something over fire, it could be called stike. This makes sense when you think about how people lived back then. Cooking methods mattered more than the type of food. You didn't have refrigerators or specialized butcher shops. You had fire and whatever you could roast over it, fish, pork, venison, even vegetables, could all technically be a steak. Here's where it gets interesting. As Scandinavian people migrated and traded with England, especially during the Viking Age, their language came with them. By the Middle English period, around the 1400s, the word had evolved into steak, both in spelling and sound. But even then, it still didn't mean beef. English speakers used steak to describe any thick slice of food meant to be cooked. You could have a tuna steak, a fish steak, or a venison steak. The key idea wasn't the animal, it was the cut. A steak was a substantial slice, usually cut across the grain of the muscle, thick enough to cook as a single portion. This is why even today, we still say tuna steak or swordfish steak. The word never fully abandoned its original flexibility, it just became famous for one specific use. So when did steak become all about beef? The shift happened gradually, but it had everything to do with culture and status. In medieval and early modern Europe, beef was expensive. Cattle were large, difficult to raise, and required space and resources. Eating beef, especially a thick, quality cut, was a sign of wealth and power. As beef became more prestigious, the word steak naturally gravitated toward it. By the 1700s and 1800s, when restaurants and butchers began standardizing meat cuts, steak had almost completely settled into its modern meaning: a premium slice of beef, cooked quickly over high heat. But this is the part most people miss. Steak didn't just describe food anymore, it became an experience. Eating steak meant celebration, reward, and success. Even now, people don't casually eat steak on a Tuesday night. It's reserved for special moments, nice dinners, and achievements. The word itself absorbed that emotional weight. There's also a linguistic reason steak survived while other old food words disappeared. It's short, sharp, and does a lot of work. Saying a thick slice of roasted beef takes effort. Saying steak is instant. It communicates the cut, the cooking method, the quality, and the satisfaction all at once. Languages tend to keep words that are efficient and emotionally loaded. Steak is both. Here's something even stranger. The word steak didn't stay confined to food. You've probably heard the phrase, having a stake in something, meaning you have something important invested. Although spelled differently today, stake and steak share the same root. Both referred to something solid, substantial, and valuable. That connection reveals something deeper. Steak, from the very beginning, carried the idea of weight and significance. It wasn't just nourishment, it was valuable. So why is it called steak? Because the word evolved alongside us. It started as a description of fire and heat, became a term for slicing and portioning, and eventually turned into one of the most iconic food words in the world. It adapted to new cultures, new animals, and new cooking styles without losing its core meaning. The next time you order steak or even just hear the word, remember this: You're not just hearing a menu item, you're hearing a word that's been shaped by centuries of migration, language, and culture, one that proves even the simplest words often carry the most surprising stories.